Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Givenchy Spring Palette. This is number 9.15. So we're going to take a look at this. We're also going to revisit the purple corrector and show how that can be used to kind of cool off and lighten a foundation. So we're going to take a quick look at that. And I purchased several of the new MAC Nude lipsticks and some of their regular colors. So we're going to go through some lip swatches of those as well. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with the Givenchy palette. So I have to say, Givenchy Spring, I really love it. Now, I do want to note that this is going to be a very light colored palette. It is pastel. And we're going to start off with the utensils that are included here. If you are not familiar with the Givenchy palettes, they do come with these two utensils. You can see that we have more of a crease style brush and more of a shader style. And these are designed so that you can actually make a double-ended brush or you can use them separately. So I think that's a really nice feature. And I love how that they include that. So those actually just go right here, and they do come, we do get a plastic tray to cover the shadows as well. So I think this palette is stunning. This is probably my favorite of the pastel palettes that has come out. Although I do want to know, it is pretty light on pigmentation. So let's start off with the swatches, and we start off with this pale pink. And this pink has a little bit of warmth to it. There's a little bit of peach. So you can see it's going to be a pale peachy pink. This is going to be one of the mattes, very silky texture. Next up, we have more of a shimmery pink, which actually has some violet in it. So it's going to be more of a violet pink. Very beautiful. I love that shade. And then one of my favorite shades in this palette is going to be this, which is more of a lilac blue-based shimmery purple. And so it's a lilac lavender mix here. And these two are both going to be your satin finish. In the next row, we have a few warmer shades. We start off with more of a soft champagne peach, which I think is a really beautiful shade. You can see this is going to be a soft shimmer. Then we go to a deeper, this is more of a mandarin orange peach. I mean, it's a really beautiful shade. And I love how Givenchy designs their palettes so that we always have a mix of cool shades and warm shades and neutrals. And we usually have a depth of colors, and we have a depth of colors in here as well. It's just that the majority of the shades are going to be fairly light. Our last one in the second row is going to be a matte peach, and this is more of a true peach shade. The bottom row, we've got some neutrals. We have a soft, this is more of a, it's not quite a taupe. It's a little bit too warm for a taupe, but a soft fawn brown with a little bit of the grayish taupe hue to it. And that's going to be a satin. Then we have a sparkly white. You can put this one on sparingly to use just as a shimmer, or you can build it up to be a little bit more, not truly opaque, but a little bit more opaque. And then our last shade in the palette is going to be a matte taupe. And this one is going to have your proper balance of gray and brown. So this is a 9.15 palette. I have to say, I absolutely love this color story. I think it is stunning. However, because of the lightness of the pigmentation, it's not going to work for everyone. Let's take a look at the eye swatches here and talk a little bit more about this. The 9.15 palette has 8 grams of product. It's made in Italy. We have a 6-month shelf life, which is standard. However, I have to say, I keep mine way past 6 months, and I haven't had any issues. So these retail for $70 US. Unfortunately, here in the US, Givenchy items can be pretty hard to come by. You know, we don't really see these too often in the department stores, especially their limited edition eyeshadow palettes. So my guess is we will only see this on the Givenchy US website. And unfortunately, it's also kind of hard to find on there. So I do have the link down below in the description box if you're looking for it. And this palette is described as ultra pigmented eyeshadows with metallic and matte finishes. Givenchy's 9 reinvents itself in a harmony of exclusive shades that offers an infinite combination of looks for a bold and tailor-made festive result. Ultra pigmented eyeshadows with multiple finishes, metallic and matte, offering a multitude of combinations, from deep brown to light coral, highlighted by metallic lilacs and delicate pinks to be worn alone, layered, or mixed. These shadows structure the eyes by modulating shadow and light. All of the formulas in this eyeshadow palette are silky and smooth. They have a slight creaminess in texture, but it's not so creamy that it feels moist. It just feels really easy and gentle on the eyes. So that's one of the reasons I love the Givenchy eyeshadows. And I think they did a great job on this palette. I do want to note that the white shade, so the middle of the bottom row, that one is the one that is just a little bit, you know, if I were to have an issue with any shade in this palette, it would be the white one, although I wouldn't say I actually have an issue with it. The only thing I want to note is I don't want to use the word clump, but that's kind of what's coming to mind. It's not that it's a clumpy shadow. It's smooth, it's silky, very easy to use. But when you run a finger over it or a brush, you might get a little bit more product in one area than another on the actual brush or finger. So it's very easy to smooth out on the eye, but it's just something to note, because if you are doing like that scattered starlight effect or something like that, then if you're using a brush, I would definitely recommend tapping that off and just making sure that you don't have any excess there. So other than that, I would say all of the shadows are a dream to work with. They are fairly light. You can definitely use these wet to get a little bit more pigmentation from them. And we do have some of the deeper metallics. I would say though that our depth of color here still stays in a medium level of pigmentation. I think it's an absolutely beautiful palette though, and I think this is probably my favorite of all of these pastel spring palettes that have come out, like the Chanel and the Dior and so forth. I think they did such a great job of mixing different tones in here with cool shades, warm shades, neutral shades, and so forth. And I'm just really happy with this. So let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's go ahead and take a look at the swatches one more time. And I would just want to show you what some of the shades look like wet. So we're going to take this shade here. I'm just going to get this slightly wet here. All right, so I dampened that a little bit. We're going to put this right next to it so you can see it gets slightly more metallic there. And let's take a look at this shade right before that, because it's definitely a little bit lighter. All right, so let's see. You can see how much deeper you can make that. So you can definitely, this one's a little bit more wet. This was not that wet, but you can see you can get a little bit more depth of color when you do add some water or something like Duraline. So you know, you do have some options to get a little bit more pigmentation if you choose to. All right, so let's just do a few quick comparisons. And I wanted to take a look at the single shadows that came from the Chanel collection. This is 250 Mauve Sucre, and I have to say, I really love these shades from Chanel. We'll put these up top. So you can see this is going to be a light, soft pink. It's kind of in between the first two shades from Givenchy. So there is a little bit of lilac in there. So it's got a little bit more blue than these. And then we have the Mentholo, which obviously doesn't go with this palette. So we'll put this all the way over here just to include the collection. This is 252 Pêche Glacée. Let's go ahead. We'll put this right here so you can see how those compare. You can see this is going to be a little bit more peach, whereas the Givenchy Satin's a little bit more orange. This is going to be more of a true matte peach, but it's going to be a little bit lighter. And then we have 248 Latte Frappe. I'll put that right here. This is going to be a warm brown, which we don't really have in the Givenchy. Let's take a look at Dior Pink Mania. And I'm just going to go ahead and swatch these five like right here, just so we can kind of see how they compare. And you can see we don't have more of this like yellow golden shade at all in the Givenchy. Swatch that purple one more time. You can see this is a little bit different. We've got more blue in the Givenchy. And then we have kind of this rusty rose shade here. So the light pink is, I guess, probably your closest out of these shades. And then this one is broken, but the, what is this? The Sweet Bouquet from Dior. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll swatch this right next to Pink Mania. So we've got more pinks here. We've got this beautiful white shimmer, which is actually very similar in tone to the one in the Givenchy. We have maybe a little bit more silver in the Dior. This purple shade here is going to be a little bit, it has more pink in it. And then I really wanted to see how this one here, which is kind of like a purpley taupe, how that compares. But you can see the purpley hue in that is going to be a little bit warmer than anything in the Givenchy. And our pink here is a little bit more pink than our light pink in the Givenchy, which has a little bit more peach. So I hope that was helpful. So we've got our Chanel swatches here, and these are Dior Pink Mania and Sweet Bouquet. Let's take a look at the corrector. So this is limited edition, but I do hope they decide to make this permanent. This is going to be the shade Lavender. And I think it's a really great corrector for any sort of brightening. So if you have like sallow skin and you want a little brightening, this definitely helps. But I wanted to show you how it does if you want to combine this with a foundation shade that, for me, I often find foundations can be a little bit too dark or too yellow. And this really balances it out beautifully. So let's take a look at this clip. And OG actually sent me some products to test out and try, and I'll actually have a video on those soon, but they sent me a foundation shade in the shade Birch, which is a little bit too deep and yellow for me. So they did send me another shade, but I wanted to show you how I can still use that deeper shade kind of mixed in with the Givenchy to really lighten that out and make it a much more suitable match. So this really can save, you know, any sort of mistake I make with a purchase. So I really love it for that. And I think it really does a nice job. So I just did kind of a quick demo here. So it's not 100% like truly mixed well. Definitely now on my skin, I did kind of remix it to have it even on both sides. And you can see it's much more even and it looks like a really nice shade. It's a good skin match once I mix it with the corrector. And I haven't had any issues with formula consistencies or any separation between different brands or anything like that. So I think it's a really good option. And if this is something that would, you know, is something you need in your arsenal, this is a good one to pick up in my opinion. Now, if you can't find the purple, the blue one also works. I just like the purple one a little bit more for me, but I think they both do a nice job. We've got the lavender and blue. So the blue is in the permanent line, so it does help. So I hope that was helpful. Let's go ahead and move on to the MAC lipsticks. So when the new MAC Nude lipsticks came out, I was actually really interested. And then I started going through the colors and I didn't think a lot of them would work for me, but I ended up finding some other colors in their older range that I absolutely, you know, had to try. So they did actually cancel my order for a few shades that apparently were oversold. And I've been waiting for them to come because they're on back order. But they're in stock and I don't think they're sending them to me. So I think my order is getting canceled. So I figured let's just go ahead and share these now. And this one here is the satin one I picked up in 838 stone. This one was so intriguing to me. I think this is like such a great like 90s, like kind of a grayish shade. Look at that. So we definitely, it's like a taupe lipstick. I mean, so it's pretty cool, especially if you want to go and do like some sort of like 90s look. I think this is a great shade for that. And I can't wait to play with this more. So I haven't played with these much yet. I just wanted to share the colors. So we also have 608 Mare, which is one of their classic shades. And the rest of these are all going to be matte. So this here, I think is a really nice rose shade, and we do have a little bit of coolness in the undertone here, which works really well for me, yet it's not necessarily that cool, so it's pretty neutral. 627 Cool Teddy. I couldn't wait to try this one. So I tried to get the what was it, is it the Cool Teddy lip pencil too, but it's sold out. So I'll be picking that up now that it's back in stock. But you can see it's still not super cool. It's cooler than the original Teddy, but it is still going to be a little bit warm. So it's kind of like a rosy beige. This one here is 631 Yash. And this is going to be warm. You can see we've got some yellow undertones in here. This is going to be a golden beige shade. So for me, this will work better when I pair it with a cooler lip liner to go around and kind of blend those out. But on its own, it's not really a great shade for me. Then we have 686 Lipstick Snob, which I didn't think it was gonna look exactly like this, but I think this is actually a good mixer shade. So this is gonna be a cool pink. We have some lilac notes in here a little bit, which will help kind of, like, I could mix these and get like a nice shade. So this, for me, is gonna work more as a corrector lipstick to add a little bit of coolness and so forth. And then we have 690 Twig Twist, which is what's on my lips right now. And I love this color. So very, very happy with this one. And you can see it is a nice medium tone rose. So these are the ones I picked up. Let's look at these on the lips. I haven't worn MAC lipsticks or MAC makeup in general in years, and I kind of forgot how nice they are. And they're a great price point also. The lipsticks retail for $25 US, and they have 3.5 grams each. And these are made in Canada. So the satin lipsticks are now the sleek satin lipsticks, and they're described as having full coverage, pigment-rich color, and a comfortable formula that hydrates lips for 8 hours. According to MAC, it's been maxed out to give lips more with a sleek satin finish and good for lips formula that looks richer, feels creamier, glides smoother, and hydrates lips for 8 whole hours. There are 34 shades in the color range, and it has a balmy blend of good for lips ingredients, including pomegranate flower extract to hydrate lips and camellia seed and rosehip oils to condition. The lipstick case features PCR material, and we still have their signature vanilla scent. As I said, I haven't worn their lipsticks for a long time, but I do find these very comfortable. They do have a nice creamy texture to them, but they don't feel heavy, yet they're also not one that feels like incredibly lightweight, like you have nothing on. So for me, that's really comfortable. And then for the matte lipsticks, these are now the Silky Mattes. And these are purported to deliver 12 hours of full coverage color and 8 hours of moisture. According to MAC, they're giving lips more with a silky matte finish and good for lips formula. Just like the satin lipsticks, the matte formula also has a new good for lips formula that looks richer, feels better, and lasts longer. We have a creamy blend of coconut oil, organic shea butter, and organic cocoa butter that conditions and nourishes lips. There's instant and 8-hour moisture. And we have more long wear with 12 hours of non-fading, long-lasting color that leaves lips looking visibly fuller from the very first ultra vibrant glide. Now, as for the case and the scent, those are going to be the same as the satin. We are still featuring PCR material in the case, which is identical to that of the satin case. And we have the signature vanilla scent. Overall, I have to say, I find these really comfortable. The matte lipsticks feel very creamy. They have a little bit of a powdery texture to them after they've sat on your lips for a while, but it's definitely not that dry texture. You can feel some silicone in here, but it's not as silicone rich in texture as some of the newcomers to the market, like the Sisley and the By Terry, which feel a little bit more slippery than the MAC, which actually feels a little bit more creamy versus oily in texture. Overall, I think it's a great solid choice. So let's take a look at those shades just one more time. In our satin, we have the shade Stone. Then in our mattes, we have Mare, Cool Teddy, Yosh, Lipstick Snob, and Twig Twist, which is on my lips. So I hope all of this has been helpful. Overall, I'm really happy with everything that I featured here today. And I do want to note that I am wearing the Givenchy Spring Highlighter today as well, which I think goes very beautifully with the palette. You know, it's kind of that beautiful like peachy coral shade, similar to, it goes well with the middle row. So just a quick swatch of our highlight here. All right, I'll just put this one here on my hand, and you can see it's going to be a light shimmery peach. It's not going to match the shades here in the palette, but let me go ahead and swatch them right here so you can see how they go. This is the entire middle row, and you can see that it goes very well. It accents everything nicely. So I hope this has been helpful. I think everything here is lovely. I'm happy with the MAC lipsticks. I actually plan on picking up some more MAC products, and I'm very happy with the Givenchy eyeshadow palette and the color corrector. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.